It's a lot of heavy stuff in there, man.
Hakeem, Tyson, Alicia, it's a big family here. It's like a Nobel, excuse me. This right here is called Fly Away. I brought a baby in this world and I didn't have a plan. I love my baby mom even when she going ham. But if it's anybody, you should say I'm going ham. Cause to be honest, I've been acting like a half-assed man. On top of that, my mom's slowly dying. I cried when I heard, so I'm laughing to keep from crying. Dating multiple women, slowly breaking their hearts. And now I'm left with nothing, they said I would be defiant. And now they hate me, they waiting for me to fall. Every other day, my sisters call me a dog. And it's crazy cause I admit, cause I'm faithful, no not at all. And due to that, I could see the dirt behind bars. And it was getting crazy, it's hard for me to believe that I'm giving out broken hearts. Possibly a disease to my lovers and baby mother and child. And she can see the God up above. When you hear me, I'm on my knees and I'm begging. Truth be told, I'm really tired of the stress. And I don't want to live this life. That God take me to heaven. Sometimes I don't want to live this life. Dear God, take me to heaven. Mama's got an illness, I'm still praying she beat it. Try to take her to the hospital to get a treatment, it's crazy. Cause her and my sisters are still beefing. Shit, we don't even talk, sometimes I call on the weekends. Not to mention my job is steady irking. Cutting down my hours 2 days a week, ain't working. 140 every 2 weeks. Man, that shit worthless. That's 70 every week, so you tell me what is the purpose? It's sad, coming from a good life that I never had. Like being a firefighter like dad, which I never had. And like my big brother or sister, but I ain't mad at his granny. She ain't here, but I say it on her behalf. And truth be told, I'm really tired of this stress. And I don't wanna live this life. That God take me to heaven. Sometimes I don't wanna live this life, that God take me to heaven. Sometimes I ask what's the point of even living for? Trying to live life with shovels constantly knocking at your door. Then why ain't saying I plan to commit suicide? But I ask through these days and times who can survive. Nobody cares, nobody's rhyme for each other. Instead of helping, we feeding off and killing each other when it's messed up. I say we cause we are one. I represent the deceased daughters of lost sons. Standing in this field of pain and we in front. Not knowing that's what this upper class people want. We had all these presidents with a different speech, but we still managed to have folks on the street. And let's talk about authority. You give a person that's just like me authority over me, that won't work. That person could be stressing when they go to sleep, wake up, get on duty and shoot me. Back to the statement, it's more than a rap in the basement. Can't hide from the fact that we're falling, let's face it. How far from the fact will it take for us to face it that they want us out and don't expect for us to make it? In their eyes we were destined to fall. It's sad cause we proving them right cause ain't no loving involved. They don't care about the music we making. We rap about killing each other, I guess that's less work for them. See, they laugh about it, make toasts and brag about it. While we kill each other, sit back and laugh about it. It's lack of knowledge. One. Like a Nobel. My mama was a sinner as a member in church, so I guess that's why I'm cursed and I'm going through pain. And do relate if you were the same. I've been through trials, my family rather see me in the same than in change. I was raised by a single mother, 2 sisters and 4 brothers. And it's like our dads just prepared for cover, evacuated from the scene. It seems like a nightmare, more over than a dream. And that's why sometimes I ask if God is blessing me or cursing me, referring to the fact that everything ain't how it's supposed to be. And I know there's just the enemy inside of me. The getting bad inside of me is becoming a rivalry. I wake up disgusted, knowing that I have close to nothing to look forward to but destruction. And I try to look above it, but I'm living in a space without a budget. And everybody acts as though it's nothing. Inside, it makes you want to cry, cause everything is opposite of the 4th of July. Besides, no fireworks church, no ribbons in the sky. I'm feeling like I'm 30, I ain't even 25. And what goes around comes around. But even worse, the truth shall set you free, and it might hurt. I say it so it hits me first. Every man for themselves in his life into the dirt. I said, I'm stressing through this devastation. It's long, but I'm patiently waiting for a change in the making. It's making me crazy, but I'm destined to make it. This is more than a rap in the basement. These are facts, no statements. Nobody seem to love, nobody seem to care. I'd rather be put in a placement. No money, no fame, no glory. I just want my time to tell my pain and my story, and I try to look above it. But I'm living in a space without a budget, and everybody acts as though it's nothing. One.
That's incredible. Like, I love it, man.
But now, through quantum physics, they have to use quantum physics to show that there is some spiritual energy that cannot be seen, touched, or felt that affects everything. The smallest particle that can be seen through a microscope is called a quark. And the thing about a quark is that a quark, when you look through it, it appears and then it vanishes. It appears and it vanishes. And now the scientists are messed up because they're like, well, when it's vanishing, then where's it going? Or is it going anywhere? And when you look at it and you look at it, it don't even have the same rhythm. And so it depends on who is the observer. And so I want to say this, the Creator observes itself through you. Each and every one of you are micro-creators, and you are contributing to the cosmic one. So there is one, there's only one energy. Everything is part of this one energy. There's over 100 billion stars in our Milky Way. And there's over 100 billion Milky Ways. And the cosmos is still coming into being. Still coming into being. When they look at your DNA, they only know what 3% does. And then they had the nerve to call the rest junk DNA. No, those are the building blocks of the whole cosmos. And let me say this here, because people, before even some alien stuff come up, let me nip that in the bud right now. We all aliens. Sister's frowning up. Where's this Reed's brother going with this? We all aliens. You understand? Life was sent to Earth. Life does not start when Earth was a boiling hot flame. There was no life here. All life was sent to this planet. So if all life, water don't exist on Earth. Water comes from space. And we're in space. People like space is out there. You're out there. On the edge of the Milky Way. Okay? So if water comes from space, and water is one of the keys of life, water holds the keys of life, and water comes from there, then life comes from there. So the Europeans have gotten your mind. Is there life beyond Earth? That is so silly. There's over 300,000 planets that's conducive of life just on the edge of the Milky Way where we are. And brothers and sisters, other life forms have been here before we were here. They're here while we're here. And they will be here when we are gone. Y'all understand that? So you just get, I want to just make us comfortable there. So we're not talking about aliens came here and did that. We are the aliens. They're going to be really messed up when they get inside of one of these ships and the brother walk out. Yo, what's up? What's up? Okay, they're going to really be messed up. Well, they had a picture of some sister in a spaceship with locks. And the ship was 100,000 years old. Okay, so that's they ain't ready to deal with that. So science tried to ignore stuff like that, So I want us to be real, okay? Now, from that 1 plus 1, you and your mate don't equal 2. 1 plus 1 equals 1. When you come together with your mate, y'all supposed to be vibrating 1. If you doing your thing and she doing her thing, that's a problem. It doesn't interfere with your personal, individually artistic creations, but you are still thinking in one, and your different aspirations come together. So y'all complement each other. So 1 plus 1, then you have children. So you have 1 plus 1 plus 1. It equals 1. And then the children have children. It's division. And you notice I'm forming a pyramid. And this is how the universe is coming into it. Universe comes into examples like this, or it comes into examples like this. The golden spiral. All life, all plant life, trees, everything grows from the golden spiral. Okay? Y'all looking at me with blank faces. Come on, y'all. The golden, a sunflower, a seashell, trees, everything has this series of like 0, there's 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, I'm sorry, 2, 3, then 5, then 8, then 13, and that number goes like that there. And you do the series simply works like this. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 2, or 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 and 5 is 8. 8, and it goes on and on and on and on to infinity. That's the golden spiral. So that means like a ram's horn grows like this. So no matter how big his horns get, he's in perfect balance. The shell, the tree. Have y'all seen some of the redwood trees? They can grow 100 and something feet high. Perfect harmony. Don't worry about falling over nothing, because they're following the golden series. This is mathematics. Now, all structures in ancient Kemet, each temple was built like this. The Western world just found this out yesterday. When you go home, you Google up Fibonacci series. Fibonacci is some European who just understood this formula. All of the Greek philosophers, so-called Greek philosophers, studied in Africa, studied in ancient Kemet, in the Nile Valley. Okay, so I need you to clearly understand that. In order to even be something in the European world, you have to have studied in the African world. I'll say that again. In order to be something in the Western European world, your real credentials and study has to have been connected to the African world, and specifically the Happy Valley, which you call the Nile Valley. Tonight, people, I'm going to help us think intelligent, because there's nothing we can't do. Think unlimited, think unlimited, think unlimited. What we can do as a people is unlimited if you think that way. A poem is the naked advice of the heart. Malcolm was a poem, Toussaint was a poem, Garvey was a poem, and all of you are poems of only you would think intelligent. There is nothing you can't do. Scuffling against madness, trying to use logic when logic does not exist. Trying to survive with no money in a money world when the real money is your consciousness. And you are afraid to destroy your oppressor because you have become so much like the oppressor, you are afraid to destroy yourselves. Even Stevie Wonder can see that all the sages are trying to tell us is to think intelligent. There is nothing you can't do. Understand your roots. Understand where you are coming from. You have been upside down, inside out, and backwards your whole life, and you wonder why you can't put things together. Now let me explain that. That is Africa. It's not upside down. That's the way it is if you look at it from a globe, from outside, from a sphere. The Happy River, the Nile, the longest river in the world, flows down north. Not up north, from up south. How many people were taught that in school? 0. East is to your left, not your right. So in order for east to be at your left, you have to be facing this way. That's the way you read a compass, because we created that concept. They got you upside down, backwards, and inside out. Now, guess what? If you're upside down and backwards, I can go to sleep. And even if you try to figure stuff out, you're going to be what? Confused. And so our greatest minds in the modern world are inventing fantastic things. And by the way, almost 40 or something percent of all U.S. patents are from people of color. But we're not doing it for us anymore. We're doing it for the matrix, for our oppressor. And so at one time, our ingenuity, right, elevated us so that we can do things like this. Now our ingenuity is to enslave us. And most U.S., or not even U.S., I mean, just leave U.S. alone, it's the Western world. If you work for one of these corporations, even if you retire, 15 years after you leave there, anything you ever invent still belong to them. That's how they got it so locked down. If you invent something on home and you work for them at one time, it's theirs. Once they get you to sign contract, that's why it's so important when the Moors and the people like this are trying to teach you about contracts, you need to understand what is a contract. Your birth certificate is a contract. You understand what is what a marriage license is a contract. A driver's license is a contract. You already have the right to drive, but once you go into their contract, now you're under their jurisdiction. You are the indigenous people that allowed them to be here. But you went into contract and you gave up all your rights, so now you're under their jurisdiction. So the state of Pennsylvania literally owns you, own your children. That's why if you hit your children the wrong way, they can have you put in jail. The state will come and take them. Why? Because they belong to the state. And you gave them away when you signed a birth certificate. That was a contract. People, you have to understand who you are and how powerful you are, and you relinquish your power. But if you're upside down, inside out, and backwards, that's incomprehensible. So I'm trying to put some perspective to who we are. Right now, most of us are dealing with this 2012, correct? That's what you've been told, right? Okay. If I sign your book, I put 6253 down. Because when Nama, a African from the interior of Africa, united Upper and Lower Kemet into one nation, calling it Kemet, the black community, not the black land, like Europeans tell you, not the black land. See, we didn't used to be able to read the Medunetra, so they could tell us anything and we had to believe it. But now, we're better than they are at it. And they can't run the okey doke on us anymore. It don't say the black land. When they told me that, I believed it. And then I went to Egypt, I'm looking for black land. Ain't no black land. You know, they said, oh no, it's the black silt of the Nile overflows and leaves a black silt, you know, on the ground. And so that's why it's called the black land. I said, when I looked up and I said, wait a minute. When they talked about the indigenous people, they called the people, watch this here, they said, the people, they had two words, but one of the words, is the Kemet-Diu. And the Kemet-Diu means the black people. And they have another word called the Remech. The Remech means the original people. That's who we call ourselves. Either the black people or the original people. So when I looked and that part looked just like that, I said, wait, did the Nile overflow on the people and make them black too? No, this is a different blackness we're talking about. This is melanin. And the people, this is a determinative for community. So if I say you live in the black community, what are you thinking the people are? Yeah. But if I say the black land, and then there's the red land, and you ain't thinking that that's the people. So this is why Egypt is conveniently taken out of Africa. Every museum in the world has Egypt And then Africa is usually on the other side of the museum. When I took out to the Metropolitan, wasn't it? Egypt was as far right as you can go, and Africa below the Sahara was as far left. They wanted to make sure there was no confusion. It was as far left, what, 500 meters far left. You had to go on the other side of Greek and Rome in order to get to Africa. So they're trying to make sure there's no connection. Okay? But you, and we don't protest, because we're upside down, inside out, and backwards. Even our scholars, what Carter G. Woodson in 1931 said, the most educated Africans will be our new enslavers, because you're educated in a paradigm that's outside of yourself. You're educated in a paradigm that's opposite of this. So now you push the new paradigm, and then your community, because you got PhDs and masters and doctors, you look up to them. Yes, son, I want you to be like that. Excuse me, I want you to be like that, daughter. You know, upside down and backwards. And then that becomes the standard. When Amos Wilson, one of our former great psychologists, says that we are looking at ourselves through European eyes. So therefore we have a European standard of beauty. We want our hair looking like Europeans' hair. We want our clothes. Just look at us in this room, and we are conscious people. If I just change the color of faces, this could have been a group of Europeans in here. Everybody has on European gear. Few little Afrocentric accessories, but for all intents and purposes, we could have been downtown at a white store, and if I changed the color of faces, click, they would have the same gear on. Culture, language is the best expression of a culture. If the only language you can speak is English, then your thinking paradigm is from there. The only thing you do to it is add a little Afrocentric twist to it. And then you wonder why you can't get away. Because you're thinking like they're thinking with Afrocentric twists. You don't think they've studied? What, Amamu Mary Baraka in the 1960s says the greatest scholars in African studies was the FBI. They knew more about Africa and its demographics and how you eat, where you go, how you spend your money, where you sleep, than Africans do. And so they're there for you, but not for your elevation. Okay, so it's really, really important that you understand that we are one. So no matter how far down the matrix we come from this, we are still that. Once you are no longer that oneness, then you're lost. And when you're lost, you're trying to find your way. And if your teacher is upside down, inside out, and backwards, and just got here yesterday, there is no way he can put you back on the right path. I'm not here for anybody to agree with me. I'm here to give you the truth that has been given to me. All religions, as we know it, on the planet right now, is to put you safely in a box so that you don't think correctly. I don't care if it's Islam, Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, any ism, it's a box. And if you're in a box, then you're not exposed to the greatness of the cosmos. And you can't even ask questions about it. And every time you do something wrong, it's some demon did it. No! You are the master of your ship. If you do something wrong, you did it. Y'all understand that? It is clear. You did it. You have freedom of choice. Will. Something that some animals can't do. Let me explain something. Haru, the great falcon. The falcon can't act like a dog, even if it wanted to. The falcon can't act like a duck. And the falcon surely can't act like a chicken. Other than that, it will cease to exist. And in nature, the same things happen. But you have the ability, as this divine human, you can change your nature like a chameleon, changes colors. You have the ability to flow in and out. You got choice. I could do something good, I could do something jacked up. You got choice. Most creatures don't. They have a programming for this oneness. And they operate in that oneness. And when they step outside of that oneness, they cease to exist. Do you understand that? They cease to exist. And they vibrate at their very highest octave when they are operating in that oneness. Look at the ant colony. They're operating at a oneness. Each ant, a red or a black ant, one of the black giant, can lift, this is incredible, 1,000 times its own weight and size. 1,000. But now watch this. 2 ants don't lift 2,000. 2 ants lift 10,000 times its size. It's just like the Clydesdale horse. 1 Clydesdale horse can pull 1,000 pounds, but 2 Clydesdale horse can pull 12,000 pounds because they're operating as what?
One.
Do you understand the science here? And we don't get it. We don't get it. It's a mathematical proven formula. The whole universe is operating like this, and we want to operate as individual little clans all over the place. Before I get totally into operational unity, I want to talk a little bit about my book, Spiritual Warriors Are Healers, because it's going to, I'll go into a lot of the Badu Necha. I think I'm coming back December 17th. Right, and now I'll be really stressing the Badu Necha, our classical language. And people, Greek can't be your classical language. This was all created before the first Greek stepped on the planet. Latin can't be your classical. We created Latin so that we can communicate with the other Europeans. So what could be our classical language? I mean, Swahili, that's a good communication language, but it's not a classical language. December 15th, okay. So December 15th is when I come back, and I'm going to really go in deep. You're going to need a ladder. I'm going in that deep, okay? So come with your boots, all right? But I'm going to explain the language and why it's so important, and why, for example, at Columbia University, I've taught Badu Necha at Rutgers and a couple other places. If you want to take ancient Egyptian writing, first of all, you just can't go in and do it. You have to get the dean's permission. And then you have to be in a certain major. You have to be in Hebrew studies or Middle Eastern studies. And guess what? You have to take French and German, which has nothing to do with Badu Necha, to take Badu Necha. If you want to be an Egyptologist, you have to take French, German, and English. If English is not your language. To learn how to speak Badu Necha, which has nothing to do with none of those. So you see what they're doing? First of all, they're keeping you out. But if you do happen to have all those down pat, you see how messed up your mind is going to be? You're going to be thinking like a real Afropean. To try to understand your stuff. But a few of us still sneak through, because we're fantastic people. We're the most multilingual people on the planet Earth. Nobody speaks more languages than Africans. And so when you say, people are like, I can't pronounce your name. Get out of that paradigm. You upside down, inside out, and backwards, talking about you can't say MFUNDISHI. You can say Krekaweki and all these other stuff, but you can't, you know. And then I look at their name, they got some European name, they got 18 letters in it. You know, but they can't make an African sound. That's a paradigm, that's a consciousness. Oh, these African names are so hard. Upside down, backwards, inside out. We got to make a change. We got to make a change. What I did in my book, Spiritual Warriors Are Healers, let me make this statement. I always start by saying that the main objective of the book was to help you to become captain of your ship. Everybody is a temple. And your temple is like a vessel. And each vessel and temple has a captain. Now, most of us, not only are we not captain of our ship, we're in the baggage department, somewhere down in the basement of our ship. and we have no clue on really where it's going. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not a good... Imagine getting on a ship like that, out in the ocean. Captain, where we going? We'll find out when we get there. When we go dock? At the nearest point, you know, whatever happens, happens. Is that a way to go through life? That's the way we're going through life. Captain, where we going to be in about 10 years? Hey, that's a good question. No clue, because they don't have a plan. And no plan is the absolute best plan for failure. And then you wake up one day and you're 40, 50, 60, and you realize, where did my life go?
Yes.
See, everybody was sent here on a mission. Did you complete your mission? Did you even get started on your mission at 30, 40, 50, 60, you know? And education is to not stuff in, but to bring out. Bring out what? The genius that's inside of you, because you are what? One. That means that all the knowledge and wisdom that exist in this paradigm, you have access to. Pre-K, kindergarten, should start out with meditation and yoga. So that by the time they're in first grade, they're little yogi masters. Their body is still supple, and they can do anything. They got to understand that the Creator resides inside of them, and they need that quiet time to bring out. And school should be to what? Amplify their gift. What is their gift? What is their mission? Why are they here? And now you want to what? Sharpen those tools that will help you give your gift to the world. And when you give your gift to the world greatly, you get paid for it. You get compensated. I tell people, don't worry about money. Worry about wisdom, because if you got wisdom, you get all the money you want. All the money you want. You know, I've been sometime on 125th Street about 3 days a week, and sometimes I make $2,000 in a day. People don't make that in the whole week. One day, I'll go off and lecture. I'll get $1,000, sell my book, and my time is mine. At the university, I have a contract. I'm not on their employee list. I sign I'm an independent educational consultant. I teach a course that can't nobody there teach. I want X amount of dollars for it. And I will teach it this time. I tell them when I'm available. Then they put it in their program, people sign up. When it's pay time, they write a check with my name on it. No taxes come out. Because I am the captain of my ship. FICA and all them guys on your check, do you know them? Income tax time. You're paying your income tax to who? Huh?
Government.
No, you're not. You're not paying no income tax to the government?
Well, who are you paying it to?
Come on, somebody help me. To who?
To the government.
Huh? You pay it to Queen someplace out of this country.
Oh, to the Queen.
They don't even, they're not even an American corporation.
Right.
And the IRS has never been audited. Never. You have no clue on wait a minute. Now, they're taking your money. What did they do for you?
Nothing.
Wait a minute. That's sweet. I'm not going to do nothing for you and you're going to pay me? You got to be inside, you got to be upside down, inside out, and backwards in order to follow that program. And then you're so happy when he gives you a little bit back of what you gave them. Oh, I'm going to the Bahamas, child. You know, I got my income tax back. That's crazy. Do y'all see how deep this can get? It's so deep, it's funny, ain't it? You know, because you've been had, you've been bamboozled, run amok. What did Malcolm told us this 50 years ago? And we still haven't gotten it. Okay, so I wrote this book so that we can begin to take control of our life. Let me tell this quick, short little story. When I was in Plainfield, New Jersey, I ran a summer camp, Afrocentric Comedic Spiritual Summer Camp. And each year I would have maybe, well, this particular year I'm talking about, I had about 50 students in my summer camp. And we made it convenient for everybody, you know. The parents, it was 6 weeks, and parents paid $150 per child. And we provided lunch, and a person can take up to 5 classes. I did a spiritual analysis of each child, and we talked about what is your gift. And the concept of the summer camp was to help develop your gift. You could only take up to 5 courses, but we had some serious courses now. We had lecture, physics, you know, trigonometry, architectural, comedic architectural. We had some heavy classes. So 5 was the most classes you could take. I had this one little boy, and then the ages was from 10 years old, usually 3rd grade, through high school. And by people who had graduated from high school came back as counselors. I employed them as counselors. But we had this one little boy. He took 5 classes, the fullest load you can take, and he got an absolute 100 Imhotep on every single one. Every class, the whole 6 weeks, never missed a day. So we're like, whoa, this boy's 10 years old. This cat is a little genius. So when we had our little ceremony and we gave him the Imhotep Award for a multi-level genius, we asked him to speak a few words, and we says, what was your motivation to be so tenacious, so dynamic, at your classes? And he said, MFUNDISHI, because he wears African clothes every day. He says, my parent is from Africa and they look like Europeans. He says, you got to be really powerful to be able to stay in America and keep your culture and still excel. And I want to do that. And I didn't really know this boy. He's in my program, but I taught the older kids. So the most I ever said to this boy all summer was like, Hotep, EM Hotep. But he was on my ship. So I'm telling this story. You don't know who's on your ship. Next to a neighbor, relative, somebody you don't know at work, somebody who's at the bus stop when you're at the bus stop, somebody who's watching you from across town, somebody in the store. All these people are on your ship. And all I want to say to you is don't be the Titanic. When you go down, you take all of with you. Be the captain. Be at the helm. Know where you're going. Know when you're going to dock. Have an inventory of everything that's on your ship. Know who your vendors are. And make sure they have your best interests at heart. Do y'all understand what I'm talking about? We haven't done this. Take your inventory of your ship. Be the captain. Be in control of your own vessel. I'm not talking about you being in control of her vessel. I'm talking about you being in control of your vessel. If she's in control of her vessel, you control of your vessel, and y'all are one, you see how much more powerful. Remember, 1 ant, 100 times, 2 ants, 10,000 times, 1 Clydesdale horse, but 20,000. That's what happens with us. So I wrote the book. So I have something called a wheel. In this wheel, it's the Golden Spiral, the Golden Series. And that series talk about the character of our life. What's going to make us dynamic, spiritual, divine human beings? So I broke the wheel into 12 parts. And so there's one part that deals with, let me just read them off to you real quick. One part, this is not necessarily our order, but one part deals with the family. How do I become one with my family? Another part deals with education. How, and that's not going to Harvard, Yale, is how do I enhance and cultivate my gift, my purpose in life? Number 3, travel. Where do I need to go in order to get the keys to help me open up and refine my gift. Not travel to lay on the beach somewhere, okay? Then you imitating the imitators, okay? Defense, and most of us leave that out. Every once in a while a brother puts in, most sisters definitely leave it out. No, defense. I remember I was buying a shotgun. I live up in the mountains, and so nothing but hillbillies up there, so I know I gotta, you know, be able to take care of my own. And so I go to this Granger Mountain, and I told the guy, I said, look, I need, what's the best shotgun you got? I got, what's loads, how many rounds I got? He said, I got a 5-pump shotgun. I said, oh, that sounds hot. 5-punch shotgun? Oh, yes. I said, look, I need one for my lady, in case I'm not there and something fall down. You got a 1-pump? He says, no. If you need a 5-pump, she need a 5-pump. He said, look, you put one in, it goes on somewhere at the back door, she fumbling around trying to get another shell. No, she needs to be, y'all need to be back to back. Pow, pow. Y'all understand? Defense. What's good for you is good for her. Do we have a defense plan? If there's a catastrophe, can you survive without running water? You know how to purify water. Can you survive in the woods? Do you know how to find food? Do you know medicinal plants from edible plants? Can you stay warm in the winter? Without going to Macy's and get a coat. There ain't no Macy's no more. Okay? Can you do this? This is part of the program. And if somebody jump on you, can you get them off? Can you prevail at the end of a battle? Work ethic. Your work is giving your what? Your gift. Right now, I'm working. I'm giving my gift. When I do my classes, I'm working. And I'm in total control of my economics. If my off year is 200,000, you are in control. You make as much as you want, because guess what? Your bank is your consciousness. If your consciousness is and defined by somebody else, and watch what we do as parents, because somebody told us, you tell your kids to what? Get a good, y'all can finish it. Get a good
job,
so that you can get a good job.
Yep.
That's what you don't want. And a good education we define as what? A wazungu, a European education. So that you could be upside down, inside out, and backwards. And then a job, not your own business, a job working for somebody who got their foot up your behind. And the difference between a good job and a bad job is that somebody got a foot up your behind and they use grease, and the other one didn't. But the foot is still up there, okay? So when they say I got a good job, you know, it just means that they use grease. Okay, all right. Spiritual. Do you have a spiritual program? I'm not talking about going to church, because at ancient Kemet, guess what? There was no church. Those temples you see, those were the churches. When I come back on the 15th, I'm also going to show some slides, because I want you to see the temples, because the temples were this mathematics. See, we go there and we just take pictures. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, look at that. Oh, oh. And we missed it. Because we go there with Wazungu eyes, European eyes. We don't go there to capture the formula that we need in our life to be the captain of our ship. That's what you should be looking for. You should be saying, oh man, look how they did this door. This door is perfect pi. Oh, this is 1.614. You know, I need to have my house, you know, set up like this. Oh, what the Asians call feng shui, with, you know, the fluidity of openness. Yeah. Where do you think they got that from? That didn't come from them, that came from us. That's the way the temples were set up. You don't want nothing in the center. You don't want to obstruct the flow of energy. You want the light coming in. You want to be, all these things. We're not thinking like that. We have to go back, okay? So spirituality, how do you manifest your creativity? With the oneness. Community, a sense of community. We don't have that. That's why the Chinese, everybody can open up shop in our community. Because we don't have control of our community. You can't go in their community and open up Nobel, Black and Nobel, in the middle of the Chinese community in Chinatown. You can't do that. The tongue, everybody be visiting you. You be paying all types of, you know, some taxes. You think FICA was bad. Okay, all right. Social. Now we got the social thing down. We got that pretty good. I mean, you know. We got the social, okay? Unfortunately, we're not controlling the social institutions. But they provide something for us and we'll boogie all night. Okay, all right. Economics. We don't even understand economics. That's why, and when I say we, I want you to understand, it's not just people of African origins. People in America don't understand economics, or you wouldn't go for the system that we're in. This system, capitalism, isn't designed to work. It can't work. It's a non-perpetual catastrophe. It can't go on. You can't print money that's not baked on nothing. You can't loan out money that is not even yours. And then think the housing industry is a disaster. The whole economic system is a disaster, and it can't be salvaged. It can be nooked and start over again. I think when they started communism, it just collapsed. The economic system that it was based on still couldn't work. This doesn't work. The only reason why this is still operating is because we just agree to ignore all the signs. But your paper is almost worth nothing. Those dead presidents you got in your pockets, we just agree to use it. Other countries now are even starting not to even want to use US dollars. In fact, they took it off the standard. Oil used to be on the US standard. It's not anymore. So economics, people, remember your economics. People come to my table and I have stones, crystals that deal with, like it says, love, happiness, spirituality, success. You rub it and you begin to bring things into existence. So people come, they say, wait a minute, I don't see the one for money. They missed it. If you got wisdom, you have the knowledge to do anything you need to get money. But if I just give you some money, then tomorrow you're gonna be broke again, back for some more money. If you got the wisdom, then you create. Or remember, you got to be the captain of your ship. Physical. I don't need to say it. We're the most out of shape people. We're the paradigm. We're the worst of the worst and the best of the best. There's nobody more physical in terms of attributes and ability than an African. But we're also the most obese. We got the most sicknesses. We lead in all the diseases that are detrimental to health in this country. Because we have somebody else's paradigm. In 1900, that's not even that long ago, that's just 100 years ago. In 1900, diabetes and sugar was unheard of in the black community. That was called a rich white man's disease. From eating greasy and hot, foods and stuff like that. We didn't eat like that. That's just 1900. That's 100 years ago. And now we lead in all of them, all the cancers. Well, we don't lead in skin cancer, which is like the #1 cancer. They don't tell you about that. But all the other cancers, we're at the top of the list. It's from, bad eating comes from bad what?
Thoughts.
So the key to all of that is your what? Your thinking. So if you're thinking upside down, inside out, and backwards, eating live, the majority of your food live, sounds silly. All you're gonna have is a salad? Pass me that chicken. People, it's so crazy, it's funny. It's absolutely insane. That's why it's funny, because it's insane, because we're doing it. And sugar, the #1 drug in the world. If sugar was created today, you would have to have a prescription and get it over the counter. That's how lethal sugar is, white sugar.
Wow.
And it's in everything. You can't even ketchup, sugar. Sugar is in everything. You gotta start reading labels. But they know that we're right now people, so we ain't got time to do all that. Honey, just get some of that, get some of that, some of that. Hurry up, we late. Late for what? You the captain of your ship. And there's thousands of people who are looking at you. What kind of example are you? Pan-African views. I ain't even gonna deal with that because we don't even know we African. Cultural views. Cultural views. People. Culture is not exclusive to somebody who just came from Ghana or Senegal or Mali or just came here from Ethiopia. Everybody on the planet revolves around a culture. If you are not cognitive of the particular culture you are following, then you're following somebody else's culture. Everybody is part of a plan. If it's not your plan, it's somebody else's plan. Everybody that walked in this room is on a plan. Now, if you're not the captain of that plan, then you are operating somebody else's plan. And they probably don't have your best interest at heart. You are fuel for cultural vampires. Do you realize in 2010 and in 2011, over 20 vampire movies came out? Not only that, they even had TV series. They all in your face. We sucking your blood. We sucking your energy. And you walking around like this. All in your face. And we happy. Ain't nobody mad. Come on. When I came, I was like about a couple of hours early. So I walked up and down the street here in the middle of the hood. Ain't nobody mad. We the happiest slaves on the planet. People come, you wonder why when I'm in Harlem, people just, Europeans come, they just want to take pictures of us. They ain't seen nothing like this before. The foot is all the way up there, and you just as happy. Where I've been, they open up another beauty store. And they got green, purple, orange, blue wigs. They just Wig City, right in front of me. And the sisters is in and out all day. These Koreans spent $50,000 in 1 month just fixing it up. Because they know they're getting all that back with interest. They probably already got their money back. They only been open 2 weeks. They didn't even have to put a grand opening sign up. You know how you get new business, you get grand. People couldn't wait for them to open the door. Because we don't know who we are. Everybody is trying to imitate us, and we imitating the imitators. Now, that wheel with those 12 cycles, a person is supposed to have a degree of mastery in each one of those wheels. You're a cultural giant. You're a spiritual giant. See, when you do that, you can't. I don't care what those other people's programs are. See, our enemy is here. Our enemy is not on the other side of town. Our enemy's not downtown. Our enemy's not on Wall Street. Our enemy is inside of here. When we can deal with that enemy in there, those people out there will perish. They will come begging, please, can we follow you, please? You know, can we be on your team? It's a love-hate relationship. But right now, so they're getting all the blood and energy they want. All the blood and energy. At one time, when you were in physical bondage, the master would stamp you. You belong, you my nigga, right? And you have the brand on you. So they don't longer do that no more. But we go out and brand ourselves. We got tattoos everywhere. You branding yourself. Massa won't do it, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna even pay to get branded. It's insane. And I see people who are purple, they just color, trying to get a tattoo. You already got melanin. The tattoo. We don't get it. We don't get it, y'all. And I don't care if you got unks all over you. You don't, your unk need to be in here. That's where you want my, put it in here. Your actions. See, I don't care what a person say they belong to or what they do. I want to know, what is their actions? What are they doing? I want to follow the brother home and see how he's living, or the sister home. The proof is always in the what?
Hoodie.
Not what you talk about. What are you doing? What you produced? In ancient Africa, and not so distant Africa, it was always important to have a title. A title was simply something to show that you are fulfilling your goals and your ambitions and your missions. And then we give you a title because you're the best at that. So that was extremely important. How many people read the book Things Fall Apart? One. Y'all need a book list. Get it out. Things Fall Apart. Y'all need to read that. 2,000 seasons. Nobody? No wonder why we're upside down and backwards. Write this down. Things Fall Apart. 2,000 seasons. I make those mandatory for my initiations. And then you'll know why you're in this situation you're in right now. Things Fall Apart. 2,000 seasons. Do y'all sell those here?
Yeah, we normally carry.
We normally, okay.
We normally carry.
Okay, all right.
That's what I'm looking on the wall.
I'm gonna come back with a whole book list when I come back on the 15th. Y'all, certain things that, what Tony Browder has a thing, hidden in plain daylight. So the secrets of your liberation is hidden in plain daylight, right in front of your face. And because you got the wrong paradigm, we don't see it. There's 14 chapters in the book. Remember, the main objective is how to become captain of your ship. How do I understand what's my mission, what's my purpose? How do I gather the tools that I need to fulfill that? And then how do I stand at the helm of my ship, directing it at every. And at the same time, understanding that as the captain, I make contracts that are what? That are going to be advantageous to my journey. And even when the captain gets supplies, he only gets supplies from people who are in allegiance to his concept, his way of life. Not people who are opposed to it. So I don't have nothing against the Chinese, but I don't go in the Chinese store to get some chop suey or whatever they sell in there. You understand that? In the black community, Chinese stores all over the place. And then they got bars up. They even got things where they got this plexiglass, bulletproof thing. You put your money and they spin it around and they give you. Now, if somebody don't trust you like that and you give it them, oh no, I'm out of here. You see, you've been programmed to accept disrespect. Even in your own community, because you don't understand what community means. Community means Kim, black, unity. Kim, unity. Like chemistry means black science. Chemistry. Who took chemistry? Did they tell you that in school? Oh, you get ready to learn the black science. Oh, you be all up in there. People be skipping gym to go in there. But now, the way they got it set up is you getting ready to get bamboozled, European style. So now you skipping and going to the gym to get out of there. Concept is how you're thinking. We got to change how we're thinking. And who's in control of your thoughts? Who's in control of your thoughts? It took you a little while. Okay, all right. You are. Remember, the falcon don't have a choice. You got a choice. Let me just go through some things in the book. Over here, I got crystals and gems. I go through after I do cosmology, before I go into the second chapter, I talk about the 12 astrological symbols. You call it a horoscope. See, even that's wrong. It's not a horoscope. It's Haru's vision. Hora is short for Haru. Scope is a vision. So you're learning Haru's vision. You have to be at a high altitude and I can look down over everything. The falcon flies higher, swift. The falcon, the hawk, and the eagle than any bird. It has no rivalry in the sky. It has an extra eyelid. It's the only creature that can look directly at the sun. That's like looking at the Creator, which resides where? In you. Okay? And so each ruler, in order to be the captain of their ship, said, I am Shemsu Haru. I am a mighty falcon. Now, if you know, a falcon can spot a mouse under a leaf while hovering a half a mile in the sky. And when he scoops down and his tie lines clutch on, he's like 99.9%. Pilots, bombers are imitating the falcon when they bomb. Jet planes are imitating the falcon. Right? Falcon can go underwater, spot a fish going this way while he's going this way. Zip! Calculate the bend of light in the water, the speed of the fish, and when he comes up and he can go 30 meters under the water, come up with the fish, 99.9%, and he's dry. Some of y'all will get that in the morning. Aerodynamics, mathematics. We are the masters of math and science because that's all based upon spirituality. And so when a king said, I am Shemsu Haru, I'm like a mighty falcon. Now, if you knew about nature, you like, oh snap, yeah, you got this. Because you know you can't even hide. Okay? And so it wasn't like he just wanted to be a bird. No, he wanted to show you he possessed these qualities as the captain of his ship. And his ship in this case would be all of Egypt, all of Kemet. And he looked at Kemet as his woman. And he had a woman in the north and a woman in the south, Nekabet and Wajet. And so on his brow, he wore a cobra and a falcon called the Nepti. And he was the protector of those. So it gets deep. The Europeans are not going to tell you all of this because where were they when all this came into existence? The first European civilization is the Greeks. And the Kemet used to say, y'all are like children. You have no history. What record do we have of them before the Great Flood 10,000 years ago? That cave art that you see, like in France, stuff like that's not even them. You don't see no white faces on there. What record? Neanderthal man? That's about it. And it's proven. I've been saying this for over 30 years, but scientists in 2011 just proved that 90% of all Europeans have Neanderthal DNA. They went to Africa and 0 people had Neanderthal DNA. So when they do that Adam and Eve thing, that we all come from a black woman, that's making them human. But because we're inside out, backwards, upside down, we just say, yeah, can't we just all get along? You're not anti anybody. You are pro your what? Self. Pro yourself. You don't have to bash nobody. You ain't got to talk bad about nobody. All you got to do is accent and fulfill your program. If you're cultivating that wheel, developing your character, you don't have to worry about nobody else. You'll be a self-contained entity. And then your self-contained entity, you're self-contained, I'm self-contained, we come together, we're not 2 times as good, we're 10 times as good. Now, if me, you, and you come together, we're not 3 times as good, we're like 100 times. Remember this code, it goes 1, 3, 8, 13, 20, 244, it goes on for infinity. So it's important for us to have understanding. When I talked about the conditions we're in, I want to read this for a second. This is in my introduction, and it's a poem I wrote some time ago, but it kind of talks about the situation we're in right now, and it goes, Notes of a 63rd century African spiritual scribe in America. I speak only the truth before my sacred and great spiritual African ancestors. The African suicide tendencies are so enormous, so addictive at this point in our story, that millions of Africans are already dead before they die. Their madness caused by cultural homicide makes the killer disease AIDS seem like an appetizer for genocide. We have become the walking murdered as we chain our babies to Western ignorance as human sacrifices. African youth disconnected and disjointed from the spirit of their African divine ancestral roots. Young boys bopping to the sound of madness with their pants hanging off. Could be beautiful sisters disguising themselves in white dreams. Black men roaming the street in packs, jobless and unemployable, with the blues written all over their faces. Black women in training to be white men, imitating white women training to be white men. And these white men are destroying all life as we know it, even the earth. Black executives sip champagne after a hard day's work of European American prostitution. Black mayors and puppets and public government officials, guided and mentored by Western pimps, inherit cesspools and unanswered dreams. Confused, culturally retarded parents lead their children off to slaughterhouses in the name of education. Black economics in America has evaporated along with white carnation milk in the destruction of Black Wall Street. Poor children are dying and being killed before they know what life is or what it's all about or what it has to offer. While their parents pray to white alien gods with their enemies and are destroying nature along with their masters, and women imitating the very ultimate of the destruction of themselves, African culture and response and spirituality. As spiritual ignorance is cherished, the progress is called backwardness. We are in the middle of a cultural economic war with no offense. Africans have been hypnotized and drugged white in deathly happiness and reprogrammed in Wazungu white desires. Even Stevie Wonder can see where home is, but we can't recognize home. Africa can't be our home, or Kemet, or any cultural that comes near there. We can't hear the screams. We can't hear the sacred drum beats because our cell phones and iPods and mass insanity is in the way. Institutions is confused with witchcraft or our daily horoscope. Are you hot? Because I can feel the urgency behind this poem. It is getting warm in here. Are you mad or at least smoking? A little bit angry? Because millions of us are already in the oven, being baked, well done, glowing in our blackness, with forks in our hands, smiling, and we have no idea that we are being served. You understand the urgency of what's going on? We don't have time to be bickering and fighting against each other. We don't have time to be protesting on who got the best philosophy. We don't have time to be talking about whose organization is the most dynamic and who's done the most. The only thing we got time to do is to straighten up our consciousness. Try to find out what our gift is. And collectively, how we can begin to work together in operational unity. That is what we're talking about. And we have to understand all the things that are at our disposal. You know, like when I set up on 125th Street and I sell crystals and gems and stones, black people come up to me, why are you selling this stuff? I'm like, unlimited energy? Energy that connects you with the cosmos? Energy that helps you become captain of your ship? How come I'm selling this? I should be selling some fried chicken or something? You know, I have to almost contain myself here a little bit, you know. So the idea is to raise the vibration. And I show, for example, everybody here understand what their zodiac sign is, right? And you understand that usually they tell you there's one gemstone connected to it. Well, everybody has a minimum of 7 to 12 gemstones connected to their astrological sign. But the jewelry store only tells you one. Why? Because in 1900, the European Jews got together, who were controlling that industry, and said, how do we get paid? People are starting to catch on. We got to get paid here. So we're only going to tell them the most expensive stone. Not the one that's the best for that sign, but the one that we can get paid. Diamond, sapphire, ruby, pearl. Those are the ones we're going to tell, because we can control that industry. And then we be parroting them. Oh yeah, diamond. Yeah, I'm sapphire. You know, if I wasn't a peaceful man, you need to be smacked. Okay, all right? So what I've done in chapter 2, I go through each astrological sign, and I tell you all the gemstones that's going to help you on your mission. What's your birth sign? Sagittarius. You're born in December? December what? 10. Okay, you are one person. One person is a leader. Numerology. Don't get spooked out, people. We created numerology. We created numbers. All right, so don't get spooked out. You are one person. You're supposed to be a leader. Okay? The only thing that you have to watch, though, is sometimes one people want to do it my way or the highway. Right? So you have to learn as one person that even though you're a leader, you need to be able to consult with other leaders and other people. And then you come up with the best way. As a result, he who counsels himself is a fool. You understand that? That's the best lesson for a number one person. Okay, now, so I go to Sagittarius. So I go to my chapter 2. And I not only tell you that, I tell you the correct name, because Sagittarius is some Greek stuff. You're actually Khonsu. Khonsu is the son of Amma, the creative, unseen creative spark of the universe. That's who you're connected to. You're a fire sign. Your color is purple. The planet Jupiter rules you. Jupiter. Your stones are amethyst, which is purple, topaz, fluoride, carnelia, lapis lazuli is the wisdom stone, black obsidian gets rid of all negative energies, turquoise puts you in contact with your spiritual ancestral line. All those are your stones. You should have them in a little pouch like that. Boom. That means all 7 of your energies, you're walking them with them. Not only that, I tell you the herbs. I tell you the oils. I tell you the incense. I tell you every particular sign. Because I'm trying to what? Empower you. Okay, that's just one aspect. Right? Let me go to another aspect. There are power centers all around the world. Vortexes. Energy force fields. that enhance things. The pyramids are built on them. Certain temples are built on them. At these force fields, negative ions are created. Negative ions bring you forth into your spiritual self. See, because you're upside down and backwards, you think positive is good. Positive ions are bad. Negative is good. See how we've been bamboozled? Okay, all right. So you want negative ions. When you're around running water, it creates negative ions. That's why the temples are near falls and rivers and lakes. That's why you have the running fountains at sacred places, because it's creating negative ions. Pyramid shape. When air hits any pyramid, no matter what it's made out of, it causes the air to tumble around it, creating negative ions. So that becomes a generator. Something like that. It's a quartz crystal pyramid, which is a generator. And then I have 4 points sticking out with pyramids at the end. So when the light hits that, causes negative ions to come out in all 4 directions, help multiplying the energy by 40. The ions in the room. If I place that on your chakra centers, I can bring balance where there's disharmony. These places exist all around. I list them all around the world. I'll just name a few. At Taseti in Kash, Hetka Patah, Memphis, the Dogon Center in Mali, Zimbabwe, Manomatapa, Southern Africa, the Akan in Ghana, the Yoruba in Nigeria, Kilwa, Eastern Africa, Medina near the Red Sea, Palestine, Mount Carmel, Assyria, Mount Hermon in Lebanon, in India, the banks of the Ganges, in Babylon, in Burma, in Athens, in Roma, at Ilona, at Rhodes, at Delphi. In South America, we go with the Aztecs and the Mexicans and the Mayans and the Centrals and the Incas and the Shang and China. I show you where all these places are in the world. They're vortexes and energy force fields. There's a force field in Europe that if you go in, there's an underground tunnel that takes you all the way to the pyramids. This gets real deep, y'all. And everybody knows about it, but what? But who?
No.
Us. Because we're trying to imitate some imitators. We want our PhD in home economics. Like that's going to help you become captain of your ship. You're following the 7 African powers, whether it's Yoruba or Khan. You got a Batala. A Batala is Jehuti. Olegra. That's Sabek. Shango. Haru. Ogun. Haruor. Arunla. Asar. Yimaya. Aset. Oshun. Hetharu. All this is from the Nile Valley as it's spread throughout different parts of Africa. All those roots are coming back. Whether you're doing Yoruba, Akan, whether you're doing Voodoo, whether you're in the Congo, all comes back to the Nile Valley. But because you don't know the Medu Neter, you're always taking somebody else's word for what your ancestors left you. I want to take away that middle person. And people, when you start reading the Medu Neter, it's like you have downloaded directly a hard drive into the ancestral realm. They start to speak to you personally. Now I know some of y'all say, okay, now this brother just came here and just bugged out. Must be something on the exhaust from coming from New York. Here's a chart. We look at it and we say, oh man, that's pretty. And the message is missing. Everybody in Kemet, even though everybody could not read the Medu Neter, everybody wasn't literate, but everybody could read the temples of the walls. Because you read the frieze first, and all this little Medu Neter is just giving you the fine details. So this person in the middle is Neheh. Look, you know, Neheh. I went back to our old tapes. I said, dog, James Brown knew Medu Neter. Mazio, Neheh. Okay, all right. Back to now, okay. Neheh represents eternity. On his arm is the Ankh. the key of life. There is no opposite of life. Death, the opposite of death is birth. Birth and death are cycles in life. Life is eternal. Energy cannot be destroyed or created. So if you think you just got here 30, 25, 50, 40, 16 years ago, that's an illusion. You have always been here because there's only what?
One.
Y'all understand? Now, you might be occupying this body for the first time, but you have always been. I was lecturing at Princeton University. And Princeton, by the way, is the #1 university in the country. And the university is judged by its library. It's #1 in occult science. You don't think, when you think of Princeton, you don't think of that, do you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's only for those who need to know. Mm-hmm. So if you want to know about ancient Africa or any of the ancient civilizations and that cult, go to the Princeton Library. Some of the books are so deep, you have to have a professor to write you a note in order to get it. You have to be a graduate student to get, some of those books, because they don't want common people to know this. Okay? But so I'm lecturing at Princeton. It's like about 500 people in the audience, and I'm throwing down, and this elderly gentleman, must have been about 85, 90, sitting in the front row, jumps up and stops me in the middle of my lecture. He jumps up, "Excuse me, young man." Right? And so everybody in the audience is like, "Oh, what's up?" He goes, "You are professing some very profound things for such a young man." I said, "Excuse me, sir. You are disillusioned by the illusion of my youth. But I am millions of years old. This is just a vessel which is holding my consciousness, was here before the planet Earth came into existence. Therefore, I witnessed your existence." He said, "Oh, excuse me, son. Father, continue." And everybody in the audience just stood up and clapped. And then the old man got up and said, "Some of y'all will get that in the morning." Okay? You are your what? Consciousness. This isn't your first time here. This isn't the first time you had this test. And some of us are failing it miserably. And after a while, your energy just gets dispersed back into the universe. Because the creators say, they ain't gonna learn. You don't become one with the cosmos. You become the dust of somebody else as opposed to fulfilling your destiny. So now, let's go back to here. Neheh is innocent. He's on gold, symbol of gold. Gold doesn't tarnish, doesn't fade. So they wanted you to think that's the way our culture is. It doesn't tarnish, it doesn't fade. It will exist as long as existence exists. And let me just, that's even deep by itself. Existence as long as existence exists. Watch this. Two ways of writing eternity. This one, jet eternity. This is symbolic for land. As long as the land exists, there is nourishment. That's bread. As long as there's nourishment, you will have energy. That's your kundalini coming up your spinal cord, activating your consciousness. So as long as the land exists, as long as the earth exists, nourishment, as long as you exist. So when they talk about, but now this one even gets deeper. As long energy exists, as long as your DNA is connected to light. And that doesn't necessarily mean our sun, that's any star. As long as there's any light that exists, the helix DNA will exist. And if that exists, there is energy. And you can't destroy energy. So therefore, we are what? Eternal. See, this is mathematical. That's what I'm saying. Science and stuff. This spirituality is science. We got to bring that back into it. It's not a void of that. It's that one connection. That's why you can think what other people are thinking, finish their words, know what they're thinking, because we are one. You know, the French have a word déjà vu, but it doesn't explain anything. You know, it's like you go someplace, you go to Kentucky, you've never been there before. And you go, man, it seems like I've been here before. I bet you behind the door there's a picture of Whistler's mother smoking a cigar. And they look behind the door, and Whistler's mother's puffing on a cigar. But you've never even been in the state before, in this body. So we can come to a couple of conclusions. Number one, you are connected to somebody who's seen that. And because they saw it and you're connected to them, you can see it. Or number two, you have the ability to be anywhere at any time that you want. Wherever consciousness can go, your spirit goes. Y'all understand that? When you dream, you don't dream three-dimensional, you dream fourth and fifth dimension. Okay. And you're locked down on a 3D program. You got to move, evolve. The planet is evolving and you're not. So you got to evolve. Okay. So I'm just trying to give you an example. So when we talked about eternity, that's what Nehet is. He's talking about eternity. So now here he basically says, F Sarah Tet Ankh Amen Heka Iwintsu Jet. In fact, I read the Medu Netcher like you read the Amsterdam News or the New York Times. That's you got to And the energy is talking. It says he is the son of the sun, the S-O-N of the S-U-N, and it has a pintail duck here. So last week in my class, somebody said, "Well, why the pintail duck?" I said, "Okay, you don't know nature." Have you all ever seen a duck with his little ducklings following them? Mm-hmm. They don't go no place that the parents don't go. They are absolutely obedient. And they depend upon the parent almost for total nourishment until they get a certain age to do it themselves. And so when the ruler is saying he's the son of the sun and he's the pintail duck following the creator. And he's like that little duckling, following the light, the energy. And he will continue to do that until he can produce the light and the energy himself. Do y'all understand that? This gets deep. So when I say y'all come back with boots. Okay, all right? And it says, I am the living image of Amen. Now, Amen is the, how many people have said amen at the end of their prayers? So you've been saying amen to a black guy and didn't even know it. In fact, if you knew it, probably some of y'all would stop saying it. Okay? Amen. Some places, my mother's church used to have an amen corner. There was these guys that sit in the corner. Every time the preacher said, amen, you know, that was the amen corner. Okay? But Amen, the unseen creative spark of the universe. Okay? And he says, I am the living physical energy that represents that. But then he goes and says, but I am the ruler from the south, up south, where the soup plant grows. And I am the leader of the city of columns. And the columns is based upon this mathematics, the science. See, when people start getting that, European Egyptologists ain't gonna go there, because they don't want you to go that deep into that. It's bad enough you can read the stuff. I don't want you to understand it. But you gotta understand the culture. Learning German, French, and English is not the culture. You have to learn those languages so that you can understand what they wrote about what we said. Instead of you going firsthand like I'm doing right now. You want to go in and sit down and commune with them. Time is an irrelevant factor, y'all. I'm going to say this, and I know it's going to sound a little off, but just bear with me. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow is all happening now.
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
That's why great-grandma could say, don't go on that trip. I feel funny about this. Something going to happen. You go, oh, get out of here. But you don't go on the trip. The bus turned over. Everybody got injured. You didn't go. Grandma saw that 2 weeks ago. Because that already happened. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow is now. This is the infinite now. The infinite now means that I have the ability to go anywhere, at any time, at any moment, infinitely. And that's why people don't really want you to understand what meditation really is. Because guess what? As a melanin-dominated being, you can go places they can't even dream about. A calcified pineal gland can't even go downtown. This is the honest truth. Look at Dr. Laila Africa's book. The average Wazoo European, the average, I'm talking about at least 85%, by the time they go into puberty at 13, the majority of their pineal gland is calcified. So when they become adult, that's why some children, like, you know, they black mammies, they love you, you know, but when they grow up to be men, they don't even have memory of all of that. They join the regular Wazungu clan. But when they were little kids, they were, you know, because their gland was open just like yours is. Now yours stayed open. So now you're 40 and 50 and you see them, hey! And they go, oh, hello, how are you? And you're like, yo, what's up? Because you're not even feeling the same thing. You know, it's a proven fact. Melanin is responsible for your hearing. You have a pool of melanin that waves vibrate off, and that waves is liquefied and then transmitted to your consciousness. Now I'm going to say this, I know I'm saying a lot of things that you're going to check me on. How many senses have you been taught you have? 6. How many? How many senses? 7. 5.
I forgot. I'm old enough to forget.
Yeah, that's right. You earned that right to forget.
That's right.
Okay, I'm here to tell you that all of y'all are a product of upside down, backwards, and inside out. There's only one sense. Consciousness. Sight is a sensor. If I change your consciousness, I change your vision. I change your consciousness, I change your smell. Right now, watch this. A dead carcass is being cooked. A dead, decayed carcass, and you go, ooh, man, it's barbecue. Oh, I can't wait to get some of that. A deformed chicken is being fried. Oh, man. So your smell is colonized. So that sense is faulty, isn't it? Because it's been programmed. It's a sensor. It's a sensor reporting to a program. Like a computer programmer puts it, you know, in there. So somebody has programmed your sensors. You only have one sense. And all your sensors, instead of reporting back, your sensor, your sense, changes your sensor. When I was in the martial arts, I'm 6 times national champion in the martial arts. One time I did the red brick break, 3 red bricks with my palm from 6 inches. It has to do with what? Energy. It has not to do with the power in my arm. I'm a relatively small man, what? 5'9", 190? That's kind of medium. You know? But guys who were 300 pounds could not do that. So it had nothing to do with mass, power, how much you can lift. It's your consciousness. When I'm fighting for the national champion, I never fought an individual person. I would meditate and become Haru. And when I went out, I just had a smile on my face. And Haru, Shango, Shaka Zulu, all of them would take care of me. I just let them have my body. And I just, right? And afterwards they say, oh man, you went between the guy's legs and kicked him with the knee. Oh man, that was hot. I would say, you have to show me the tape. I don't even know what that, I don't even remember that. Let me see the videotape. Okay? You don't know how, watch this here. Pregnant woman. Or you just had a baby. Your baby crawls underneath the car. Car's getting ready to back up, and the lady lifts up the back of the car. The flow of adrenaline zipped through her. Now afterwards, her bones are shattered. She got to go to the hospital, hemorrhaging. But for that moment, she was able to do what it would take 5 men to do. Now, how about you can harness that and do that anytime you want without damaging the body? That's what the meditation and all those things begin to do. It's helping you harness your energy and focus your consciousness. And then your consciousness directs your sensors. I'm walking on hot coals. We had to take this test in Ethiopia at Lalibela. We had to walk 20 meters over hot coals. Y'all saw that movie Kung Fu, right? But over hot coals. Now the coals are still hot. The bottom of your foot is still there. What stops you from burning from the other person? Consciousness. Your consciousness tells every cell in your foot, attention. Don't move. In fact, that stuff is cold. Do you understand how powerful you are? Think of the most powerful being that you know of and then multiply that by 10, and that's just getting you started. As a melanin-dominated person, you can do things that they can't even fathom. In 1960, Nikita Khrushchev wrote President Kennedy a letter, and you double-checked me, and he said Afro-Americans should not be allowed to compete in the Olympics because they are superior beings. And Kennedy said, that's crazy. All people are created equal. And then America won more gold medals than they ever did. Wilma Rudolph just smoked everybody so bad they thought she was a robot. Every running event in the Olympics, from the, what's the longest one? The 26 mile, what's that? Marathon to the 100 meters, the record is held by an African, a person of African descent. Every running event, steeplechase, I don't care what it is, 800 meters, every running, go look at the record book. What? Now, let me say this. What it takes to propel you physically has to happen first. Where? So if you say the person's physically superior, I'm actually saying that person is what? Say it? Mentally superior. But we got people, somebody's tricked you into thinking that the physical department is different from the mental department. Can't nobody move like you move. The break dancing, the dance, the way we dance, they can just, their best dancers are imitating you. And that's all coming from your creativity. Now, imagine when they created basketball, they said, black people can't play because they can't get this down pat. This is too complicated. Now, if you turn on the TV and watch an NBA game, it looks like there's racism there. It looks like we don't allow white people to play. There's almost not an NBA team where the starting five isn't black. College, Alabama and all of them, with no black, they didn't want no black. Now, Ole Miss got all black players. Do you understand who? Now, imagine if they let you loose inside of the planning room at the corporate office. How many people saw this old movie Eddie Murphy made, Trading Places? How many? Yeah, okay, most of us. Do y'all remember they took him off the street? He was just like a bum, hobo, right? He got inside, they're gonna teach him how to stop. I mean, he just heard it one time. He said, oh, y'all ain't nothing but a bunch of bookies. Y'all know how to do this? Yeah, y'all need to trade this, and that. Because Christmas is coming, people bugging out. They gonna buy this, this. Everybody made money. I mean, because he understood this. They don't want to let you loose in that corporate office. Because your creativity is way beyond they can fathom. So they got to control you. And they only let those people in there who are thinking like they're thinking. They don't want that raw watch this, y'all. My father said this to me when I was young. He says, the Wazungu are crazy. They are total out of touch with the whole universe. The horse is in a natural state, and he calls them wild. After he takes his nature away, his instinct, his culture. Now he's a good horse. That horse ain't good for nothing now. He walks through the forest, the tropical rainforest, and he calls it a wilderness. Who said that was wild? He's the only wild thing in there. Every plant is growing according to its nature. Every tree. But then they called it wilderness. We have to be careful of these people. Stay away from the sun. Okay, good advice. I've been listening ever since. And I don't want anybody to think I'm prejudiced, because I know this is being filmed. I want to be able to say this. Some of my best friends have white friends. Just want to clear the record. I'm going to go into greater detail on that when I come back on the 15th. What I really want to do is open up to some questions and answers, because this gets so deep, y'all. 2 hours, 3 hours, I just get started, you know? I teach a 3-month course and I'm just beginning. We have to master who we are by finding out what is our gift and what are your tools. Now let me just say this, sometimes you confuse your tools with your gift. A good example. When Muhammad Ali became an ambassador, he could go places where the president couldn't go and talk with people. Most recognizable face in the whole world. Michael Jackson's another example. Okay, most recognizable face. Okay. Now, he got that by using his tools. Technically, Muhammad Ali is not the best technical boxer that ever existed. But he used his boxing skills to be able to be the ambassador of goodwill, or the ambassador that can sit people down to the table to talk. So that's his gift. His gift is loving people. His gift is bringing people together. But he's able to do that because he used his tools. Some people use their tools to be able to give them the money or whatever they need so that they could spend their time on their gift. Okay? So you want to refine your tools, because all of us have some tools that we can use to help accomplish your gift. Okay? So you got to be able to distinguish the two. And every once in a while they coincide. They're the same every once in a while, but that's not always the case. You know? So you got to use your tools to refine and give your gift, and then you'll be rewarded beyond any money that you can want. And don't get caught with money. You just want to be able to take your ship where it needs to go. Dock at the ports you need to dock. Get the life experiences so that this could be the end of your journey. When you lay down to close your eyes, you become one. That judgment scene, you become one. You don't. I heard some people, some elders say, "Hey, look, I ain't coming back, man. I don't want to do this no more." You know, one. Okay, that's your objective, to be this one, this energy, and to fulfill your dream. It's important, and we got all these tools all around us. You got to learn how to use the energy around you. So it's important for you to learn the meditation, learn the yoga postures, learn the internal. Let me show you the prototype of the Kemet temple. Was duplicated by the Buddhists, the people who do Tao, the Taoists. They, in the morning, you got up and you meditated to sunrise, taking in energy. Because we are energy beings. After you've meditated, now you go through your so-called yoga postures to keep the body supple and flexible. And certain positions open up energy vortexes within the body. After you're not warm from all of that, now you learn how to harness that energy, how to use it. You develop it. Now you've seen them doing like the Qigong, you know, you're learning how to manipulate energy. How do I use it inside of my field? Then you practice the martial, what I call the Manchu art of combat. Now this is the priest practicing. When you got a preacher telling you to turn the other cheek, Get away from them. You got somebody telling you to let people put foot up your behind and love them for they know not what they do. Malcolm said they know what they do and they're experts at it. They've been doing this for 400 years. Okay? They know what they're doing. You know? And so the priest, who is the most peaceful creature, is a master in the martial arts. Yeah? So he might take a smack. He says, don't do that again. Okay. And then the priest need to be able to walk and not have any what? Fear. So that's what they're training. They're training that fear only exists in the minds of individuals. You never talked to fear. You never sat down and had lunch with fear. You never slept with fear. Well, I hope you haven't. Okay, all right, but fear is only an illusion. Your consciousness can evaporate fear. And show you how powerful this thing fear is. They take a plank, a foot wide, and they say, and they lay it on the ground, and they say, walk across the plank. And you go. No problem. Now I take the plank and I move it 50 feet up in the air. Put it between two buildings. Same flank. Go ahead, walk across it. What changed? You're what? Now fear is all of it. Where did the fear come from? You created it. You should be up there between the buildings. You know, just like you were when it was on the ground. It's the same 1 foot. Okay? Consciousness. So now, after you've meditated, did your breathing, did your yoga postures, practice your mantra arts. Now, in the evening, you fulfill your mission, your skill. What is your skill? Maybe you're a carpenter. Maybe you're a farmer. Maybe you're whatever you do, writer. You go do that now. And you do it with more energy, more zeal, more fortitude, more focus. And you do it with no fear. And can't nobody talk you out of your game. Because you are focused. Now, why do you think we don't have educational systems like that anymore? Because somebody wants to use you like a battery. And my brother, when you buy a AAA battery and it run out, what do you do with it?
Go to work.
And that's what they're doing to you. They use you like a AAA battery. And then, when your juice get a little low, and you think that's okay, and you're striving for that. I remember my lady was working 20 years as an executive director, and at the end of the 20 years they gave her a pen. That's like, with no grease, a pen. And then some companies took back the pension that you paid into. You don't understand contracts again. Captain of your ship. How do you become captain of your ship? I want to I open up question and answer period with a poem called Sankofa. Now y'all have to help me. And on my book here again, and let me explain, anybody who gets the book tonight, I give you a free DVD. It's a 2.5-hour DVD of a book signing like this, where I'm explaining way more than what's in the book. The DVD is $15. It's free with the book if you get the book.
How much is the book?
But
How much is the book?
the book is $35. Okay. It's called A Pan-African Worldview. And what I've done here, unfortunately, almost no place in Africa today, they're using this. They're using the European paradigm in Africa, which means that the future for Africa right now looks very dim, because almost every president of an African country right now was educated in Europe or America. So now you go back to Africa with the European or American mentality. Upside down, backwards, inside out. And you start looking at your own people as backwards. In Kenya, they're making the Maasai put clothes on and go to school and learn English. And Europeans are not making them do it. The African leaders who have been educated in the West. We're taking somebody else's paradigm and we're trying to superimpose them so we can fit in. We're not supposed to fit in there. So I show you from your government to your language to how this is supposed to work. And this is how your organization is supposed to work, because this is how you're supposed to work. See, one of the things I teach when I'm teaching a meditative form, watch, I teach people Kiyango Chamkon. This is a meditation form. That same meditation form is the same form that I use in combat. So I don't learn a meditative, spiritual meditation and then go learn some different yoga moves and then some different fighting techniques. They all are one. So the same thing I'm using can whoop butt. Person comes, block, elbow, smack, take his throat out, break his neck. All within a second. But that's the same little move. Learning to master my breath. Most people don't know how to breathe. Watch this. You're gonna help me. You need food, don't you? Even if you have good food, you can go 30 days, 3 months without food. Next, you need water, don't you? Body won't exist. You're 70% water. But you can go 30 days without water. You can draw water from a lot of other places. Air. You need to breathe, right? Can you go 3 minutes without air? So if I put food, water, and air, which one is the most important?
Air.
Which one do we know the least about?
Air.
You think that's a coincidence? In many of the Asian cultures, you learn to, but here, you get up in the morning, first you want to do is eat. Then you want to drink. Then eat and drink. You breathe and you bump that. And as soon as you get a little anxiety, because you haven't mastered your breath. The average person only uses about 50% of their lung capacity. So if you use 50% of your lung capacity, I automatically cut your life in half. So when you're living to be 70, 75, 80, and you think that's a good run, that should be halfway. 75, you should be middle age. I'm 65, I haven't reached middle age yet. I still do a backflip. Practice your breathing. The proof is where? In the
Good.
So what are the modalities that teach you how to breathe? What are the sciences that teach you proper breathing?
You have to
How do you
learn
learn
to
to breathe?
control the breath. Like you take your tongue, roll it on the bridge of your mouth so it touches your pineal gland, activating your pineal gland. As your nose is the primary vehicle for breathing. All right, I'm gonna show you a drill real quick. If you do this in the morning and the evening, it'd be impossible to have a heart attack. Impossible. Take your right thumb. Everybody, put it over your right nostril. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the left. Inhale. Take the other finger, close. Exhale at the opposite side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Close. Exhale the other side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Close. The other side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Close. Tell me, don't you just feel open? If you do that every single day, you'll understand what time of the day you breathe more out of your left lung versus your right lung. So you learn to control that. You'll learn to feel your body. You learn how to breathe full from your diaphragm. Simple little drill. If you learned that in kindergarten, you would be master of yourself by now. Doing backflips. Okay. Simple. And let me say this. Mastery of self is literally a simple thing. To eat simple, eat live, is the simplest thing. Wash it and eat it. What's simpler than that? Souffle and make some, that's complicated. Frying some dead carcass, that's complicated. We are complicating. The more complicated your life is, the sicker you are. Let me end with this short story. I'm small, I'm 8 years old, I'm traveling with my father, we're in Tanzania. I want to go to town because town is exciting. Just the guys with the long robes, and I want to see the sages, And so, Baba, Nina Kwenda, Chaluka Tatsia Safatale, can we go to the city? And my father looks at me. He says, come. I'm like, oh, good, we go to the city. We're walking the opposite way of the city. We're walking. You never speak until the elders tell you to speak. So we're walking. And after about a half an hour, he stops. He says, Kilimanjaro, the tallest mountain in Africa. And I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, okay, I learned that. But I don't say that, I'm just thinking that. He says, Kilimanjaro, people come from all over the world to see Kilimanjaro, to look at its majesty, to try to understand its power. It is a work of art. And I'm thinking, what does this got to do with town? He says, stare at Kilimanjaro. And I stare, he says, and Kilimanjaro has never been to town. And left me there. So I get back home. Mama, I asked Daddy about going to town. He talking about Kilimanjaros. Your father is wise, son. One day you will understand. I graduated my third master's degree. My uncle comes from Tanzania. I'm valedictorian, a speaker of my class. And afterwards, my uncle comes up to me and he says, look, people from all over have come to see you. You are standing tall. You are master of your ship. People are coming to you for information and for knowledge. You have become Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
Questions? Come on, y'all, wasn't that good? Gotta ask some questions, huh? I've only just tipped, this is the tip of the iceberg. You didn't see what was all underneath. We have to begin to master those sciences. We have to become engineers, and that's who we are. We are the technical, cultural, spiritual engineers of the planet. That's why we were brought here. We were sent here to do a job, and we're not doing it now. And somebody who just got here yesterday, we're working for them. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine what our great ancestors are thinking inside of us? And let me say this. When you're talking about your ancestors, that's nobody in the graveyard. That ain't them old pictures. You know where your ancestors are? They're inside of you. Each one of you, your DNA is an extension of every African that has ever lived. You're a chain of them. Going back millions of years, you are a product. They're still with you. And they're here to guide you. But you gotta ask. They can't interfere with this. They had their chance, right? So they can't interfere right now. You're here on your mission. But when you go into your meditation, when you have a quiet moment, now you begin to ask them. That's what the libations is all about, giving thanks, and then giving praise. And then you have the recall and response. And then you bring those ancestors come. You say, great ancestors, builders of the pyramids, great rulers in Kemet, who at their height, Haru Im Aketi, Ursa Ma'atra, come, be with us tonight. Guide us. Give us spiritual inspiration. And then at the end, send them back. Send them back.
So how you send them back? Tell us.
Just like you brought them in.
Oh, okay.
At the end of our ritual, thank you, great spiritual ancestors. Thank you, Shaka Zulu, for coming into my life. Thank you, you know, those.
Okay.
And you got to be specific when you call on the ancestors. You got some ancestors you don't want in your life right now. Uncle Benny, you don't want Uncle Benny here right now. Okay? So that's why you just don't say, ancestors come. No! Then you might get a Jack the Ripper in your family. You know what? Let them stay with that, you know. You know, you call, that's why you, when you do your rituals, you specific. You call on them, on those powerful ancestors you know. And then, just in case there are some that you need that you don't know, you have to be specific. Those ancestors who were responsible for helping us get through the Middle Passage. Those ancestors that stood and defied their enemy. Those ancestors that helped us survive the Middle Passage. I want you to come and be with us at this critical time. You see what I'm saying? So now I didn't know a specific name, but I call on those in. So Uncle Benny's still wherever he's at. Okay? I'm only calling on all that I need. And then after the ritual is over, you know, y'all had a good time and everything. There's a closing ritual. You have an opening, you have to have a closing. A closing ritual. And by the way, I go through all this in my book.
This is a book? Okay.
It's in my book. I show you how to go through these, you know, these cycles, right? And so you have a closing ritual. Great ancestors, thank you for being with us. Thank you for helping us on this specific journey here on how for us really to come together in operational unity. We need to stop debating each other because nothing of positive can come out of that. We don't need to challenge each other's theories. If the theory don't vibe with you, don't use it. Only use those theories, philosophies that are proven, that work, that you vibe with. People, look at this. That is the source. There's 360 different ways to get to the source. So if somebody says, my way is the only way, you need to hit the highway. There's no one way to the source. There are many different ways to get to the source. You need to use the way that's most advantageous to your spiritual being at this moment. Maybe tomorrow you have expanded and grown and you're ready to take another road. And it's okay to change. You need to understand that. Change is the only thing that's consistent in the universe. If you know better, you do better. As your consciousness expands, you will see roads that you didn't see before. And so you say, oh, okay, I was going this way, but I think I'm going to try this way now. And you have to learn to listen to your inner conscience. Most of us, how many people in this room, raise your hand if this has been true to you.
Oh.
You did something and then it says, oh, something told me to do that. You know, and you just didn't do it. You know, but inside you knew you should have done it, but you just didn't do it. You didn't listen. And you've been programmed to do that. Because they want you to listen to the government. They want you to listen to Great White Father. They want you to listen to Jesus. They want you to listen to Muhammad. They want you to listen to everybody but that creator that's inside of you. They want to put tape over that energy's mouth. Yes, ma'am, you had your hand up.
I'm just so baffled at how our people are, with all the information that's here, our people are so locked down in religion.
You have to have a paradigm, ma'am, to absorb the information. If you got the wrong eyes, the wrong spatial perspective, information ain't gonna do you no good. We're killing ourselves with all this information.
But I'm thinking of how the church has
It's a tool. The church is a tool. Remember, all religions, it's not just Christian church. It's all of them are keeping you in a box.
Yes.
You're not supposed to be in a box. If you read 2000 Seasons, there was a scene in there where the Europeans who first came to Nigeria there says, where's your church at? We want to build a church right over here. And the Africans there, this is like 1400s. They says, what's the church? They says, no, your God's house. They say, your God can fit in that little house? This is our God's house. And they point and look at the whole universe, you know.
Yes.
But we've been taught now the God's in the house there.
Yes.
And we've abandoned the universe.
Yes.
So we don't know nothing about nature.
Yes. Oh my God.
So when I teach this language, I say, okay, this is a scarab. And so I'll have somebody say, oh, well, you got a bug up there. Yeah, a bug. Is that a roach? No, it's a dung beetle. Kipper. It means come into being because it follows the light. It's the only creature that makes a perfect spear with its legs. Male and female. It lays the eggs inside it and the eggs eat through the dung.
Yes.
And the dung is nothing but the grass. It's protein. Watch this. It's one of the first recyclable units we've ever seen. In my country, Tanzania, you might see 1,000 wildebeest out in the savannah. 1,000 zebra. 1,000 oryx. And they're all eating. So if they're all eating, you know they're...
Right.
Huh? So that could get real funky. 10,000 times.
Right.
But in the morning, you wake up and it's fresh air. You smell no dung. Because Kepler has taken all of it, rolled it up into nice little balls, dug a hole in the ground, irrigated the soil, put the dung inside, fertilized the soil. There's no dung. An elephant turd could be like this big. Within 2 hours, it's gone. Right now, they're importing the African dung beetle in Texas because the cattle is defecating everywhere and the rain comes and then it's getting into the well water and so everything smells like SHIT. Okay, you know. And so they have to import this because the fertilizer has killed all the natural, you know, bugs and stuff like that. And so the ecosystem is out. We understood the ecosystem. And you're in harmony with it, but you don't, right now, your school doesn't teach you this. You got PhD and you don't know nothing about nature. See? But you in church every Sunday, maybe Tuesday and Wednesday too, maybe Bible class and Sunday school. But do you know, are you captain of your ship? No. Do you know anything about nature? No. But I got a good job. Remember? Greece. Okay, all right. Y'all understand where I'm coming from?
Yes.
So the key is that I need to know about nature. So when I see this, without even reading Medu Neter, I understand Kepler. And Kepler is moving towards the light. And the light is symbolic of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And that Neb means master. So he is master of coming into being, of following the light. And here's an example for us. Whatever your skill is, you are always moving towards light. And you are consistent. You are diligent. Watch this. When a turd is laid by an elephant, more than 1,000 different species of scarabs verge on it, and they're not fighting each other. Operational unity. There's enough dung for everybody. Right now in America, there's enough SHIT for everybody. Everybody can get their own, okay? But now, what are you doing when you get it? Are you fertilizing your family? Are you providing for it? Are you making it a safe place? Do you have those 12 cycles all taken care of? Are you growing? Are you giving your gift? Fine-tuning your tools? Have you did an astrological chart from the ancient Kemet on each one of your children so you know just how to help them? My daughter right now was finishing her second master's degree in cultural anthropology. My son, since he was 8 years old, wanted to be a chef. Now, at 32 in Houston, Texas, he's the first master chef at 32. Because I cultivated his education to go to that. I didn't put him in public school. They did private school, or I self-tutored them. Or when they did go to a regular school, they were already developed, and they were just fine-tuning. And when I told them about college, I said, college is not about education. College is about getting a key that will open some doors that will be closed to you otherwise. Because my son thought he can just be a chef without going to college. He's going to technical school. Yes, you can do that, but people will respect you more. Now he got his college degree, he got his technical degree, and he's a master chef at 32. My daughter in cultural anthropology, she's graduating December 21st, and her teachers don't know this, and they're supposed to be studying ancient Egypt and stuff like that. She's the only person, she's the undergrad, she's the only person that knows Medu Neter, the hieroglyphics and stuff like that. So you use these tools and stuff, to master your skill. I had one student, they took the first semester, and they said, well, I'm not on if I'm gonna take the second semester of Medu Neter, because how am I gonna use hieroglyphics in my life? I said, let me ask you something. Look at your business card. She said, yeah, everything on here I learned from you. But you don't see how you can use it in your life? You just start to open up your little consciousness. And it's changed your life. And now you're saying you don't know what it's going to do if you open it up all the way? Or are you afraid to know? Needless to say, she's in the class. Okay. Yes, sir.
How does one go about learning Medu Neter, like starting out?
Come here on the 15th. Where do you live? You live here in Philly?
No, I live in Wilmington, Delaware.
Delaware. Oh, okay, that's no problem. I had students from Delaware here. Maybe we can get a class going right here in Philadelphia. I've had it before. I came for 1 year, and I taught 2 semesters of Medu Neter class at the Huntington Park. And I had people from Delaware, New York come. I had 12 students for a whole year. Okay? So if I can get a right amount of students, then I will come and teach it here. I told them I need from 7 to 10 students to make it worth my while to come. Yes.
Where did you get the keys to understand the Medu Neter language?
Where did I get the keys?
Yeah, I mean in general, where is the, far as the alphabets to understand the Kemetic language?
Well, that information is kind of now is available to almost anybody, but the culture is not. Let me just say something. When you learn, they call it ancient Egyptian language, the hieroglyphics. When you take it at Columbia or places like that, they don't teach culture with it because they don't want you to know how to speak it. They want you to just be able to translate it to English. Like when I was reading this in Medu Neter, they don't want you to be able to do that. Because sound, the power of sound is vibration. That's energy. They don't want ancestral energy to come up and you be, ooh, ooh, you know, as you're reading it, you know, stuff be tingling. You might get an ancestral joke where you remember what happened 4,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, or you start remembering stuff when the earth came into being, and they don't want you to do that. Just translate this stuff into English. So what I do is I teach you the culture. As you're learning that, see, even if you learn the alphabet, you can't speak with Dunecha. You can't even write anything. You couldn't even write my name if you got, because it's not an alphabetic language. There's an alphabet, and then there's biliterals and triliterals, which is one symbol that might have 2, 3, or 4 sounds. One symbol is a whole word. Like when I say ma'at, here, truth, justice, righteous, harmonious, balance, reciprocity. I can use all these English words to explain one African word. They don't want you to do that. They just say, oh, okay, my truth. Keep going, right? So you got to be careful of who's teaching you that. They need to come from an Afrocentric. So what I did is, Sister Riketti Amon is my teacher. She's a linguist. She's one of the translators of Diop and translated his books from French to English. So she's a linguist. I graduated from the Kemetic Institute in Chicago under Jacob Crothers. I studied in Africa. I've taught at the University of Khartoum in Sudan, University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and I studied Coptic. Coptic is the last version of the Medunecha in Ethiopia, in Lalibela. Right. So I understand the culture of the people. So when you understand the culture, now you start, you don't need German to understand Medunecha. German people don't know what's going on.
Man.
Yeah.
How can I put this? Would you say during the Kemetic period that it was a strong monopoly, like on the Mutaneta parts, like with the nobles and the royals, or was that also in the public? Because at one period, it's like how amongst the Catholic people, you couldn't touch the Bible if you wasn't a priest, and things of that nature. Would you say that? I mean, because what I've studied is like that book originally was like for nobles, and royals.
Okay, let me. I appreciate the question, and I want to say this. Remember, I made this statement.
And further, how I want to put it, like, did that, like, do you think that that's what weakened our civilization as far as like only the nobles and the royals at that period having a monopoly, on spiritual knowledge on that level?
Okay, all right. Let me.
Okay.
Attempt to answer that. First, if you understand the breakdown of ancient Kemet, it's a little different from you have it today. So when you look at the society, yes, you had an aristocratic, noble class and their family. Then you had a priestship. Then you had the warrior class. Then you had the artisans.
The who?
The craftsmen.
Right, the artists. Right. Okay.
The artisans.
Yeah,
Okay, you have the craftsmen. Then you had the farmers. And then you had traders. And everybody in the society belonged to one of those classes. So everybody had access. The most prestigious position in ancient Kemet was a scribe. Because a scribe, if you learned how to read this, you can come from a very humble family of farmers and be the Nasut Biti, ruler of all of Kemet. So the scribe, learning how to read and write this language, was the centerpiece in everything, because guess what? The army needed a scribe to make sure everybody got provisions and records was kept and stuff like this. If you were the craftspeople at the marketplace selling goods, the scribe came and kept records of everything. So the scribe was at the center of government. So for 4,000 years, this type of writing was consistent. The scribe kept those records in the archives and connected them to epochs before that. Okay, so I don't want to disillusion you that the common people had the same access as the noble classes. No, those classes always exist. And yes, each generation in ancient Kemet, it got a little weaker, and a little weaker. I will explain when I come back why. First of all, 4,240 BCE, which equals year 1, Semitawan, is when Upper and Lower Kemet was unified. And so within 300 years, Kemet was almost at its zenith. You know a country don't go to their zenith in 300 years or 500 years or 1,000 years, right? So those priests were carrying information from a prior golden age before the flood.
Before what flood?
The last ice age, when the last ice age receded, about 10,000 years ago. 90% of all life on this planet was destroyed. And the Earth has been through several ice ages. But the last one was approximately 10,000 years ago. All of Europe went almost totally underwater. And before that, there was ice glaciers, like in places like Germany, a mile thick. Have you ever just walked a mile? Can you imagine being under a mile thick ice glacier? And so if you're not underground, it's almost uninhabitable. Okay. Africa was the least affected of the ice age because all of Africa is a plateau.
Right.
Above. But still, many parts of Africa, it was shrunk, during that time. So these priests kept the knowledge of a prior golden age. So I don't want to take any information. Without those priests, there wouldn't have been no high civilization. And yes, absolute power corrupts, absolutely.
Yeah, more power.
So I don't want to disillusion you that, but
Right.
that doesn't take away the majesty and the gift.
Oh, no.
No, it means that we need to be able to take that information
Right.
and understand and see. And their number one thing that caused them wrong, it wasn't because of power and greed, it was because of infiltration of other cultures coming in. Mixed marriages with foreigners coming in, giving foreign countries would give their daughters, and now you got this.
Well, that was the same with Ramsey II.
Say that again.
That was the same with Ramsey II.
Yeah, but that's the 19th. That's 19th
No, I'm
dynasty.
saying Ramsey II married a white woman.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but that's
Yeah.
that's 19th dynasty. So
Right,
that's like that's 1800 BCE. That's
Right.
2,000 years after Kemet came into existence.
Right.
So you can see. So now they start going down, 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 down. So by the time it got to the Greeks, that's all, folks. That's almost it. A wrap.
Well, because we're in a question and answer now. I'm not trying to disturb you, but I'm also looking at the area like how you can say the Republican period. Like when I study African history, I'm always looking for not so much the aggrandizement, of priests and kings, but like when you go back to Ethiopia, you're going into an area like when you see the rituals and stuff, there's really no face on them. It like almost like stick drawings. You know what I'm talking about? There was no particular royal family. You know what I mean? It was more of a Republican, period, where knowledge was free. Like in a more universal form. Because I think that when someone has that type of power, like you said, power corrupts. So like
Absolute power.
yeah, absolute power is more corruption. You know what I mean? So that's why I look
You just
at
need a check and balance.
I look at like that period in our history, like where there was more of a, I would say a universal democracy, not a.
But let me make this statement, sir.
Go ahead.
Those societies didn't produce what was done in Kemet. I rest my case. The majesty that you see in a different type of society was not equal, any place on the planet. Those places that you see in South America and Mexico, those were civilizations set up very similar to Kemet. When you see in Asia, those civilizations that reach its height that we know
I want
of.
to ask you about that, though.
That we know of.
But I want to ask
They
you
were
about
all based upon a royal family,
Right,
a priestship, a
Right.
army, because to
Right.
develop something and not be able to protect it is like not having it at all.
that. In reference to what? You talking about the Mexican civilization?
Any civilization, I develop something and I can't protect it, somebody's gonna come in and just take my stuff.
But let me ask you something. Do you have history on why they left around, what was that, around the 12th century BC, 13th century BC, when they left Kemet and went to Mexico that started the Olmec civilization? What did that? It's like, in other words, let me finish my question. It's a question and it's a just let me say what I'm saying, right? In other words, the time of Ramsey II, right? It seemed like it was a split in the royal family, because around that time when the people left and went to Mexico, it was a lot of, you know, wars going on with the agents, but I think from what I'm studying also, that it looked like it was infighting also going on inside the royal family. That's what I'm really saying. Because the connection between those two civilizations shows because they had the same basic architecture. Not the same, not the best materials in Mexico, but basically the same,
Well,
you know,
people used the
architectural
material that
design.
was available to them. You know?
Right.
Well, we don't even have to just stay with Mexico. We can just go around the world. If you look in my book, I point out all the different PowerPoints where great civilizations existed
Right.
in this last 10,000 years. That's after the Ice Age.
Right.
Okay. And so what you're failing to see is that there was a people who survived with this knowledge that was high technical knowledge as well as high spiritual knowledge. And they could not manifest it until they developed a group of people who could use it. So, see, the majesty of Kemet, and I hope everybody will understand this here. The majesty of Kemet was this, and then I want to open up to some other people here. Let me just take this statement. The magic of Kemet is that somebody was able to take the priest who had this scientific knowledge, the warriors, and bring them with the priests, the farmers, and bring them under them so that they can feed masses of people, because this is the first time now masses of people can be fed and taken care of. I take the herbalists and I bring them in as the healers. I take the shepherders and bring them in, and they provide skins and fabrics and things of that. This is the first time all of them will pull together. You need a centralized government to do that. But yet at the same time, you're telling me that the centralized government was part of the problem. What I'm trying to say is that centralized government was why they were able to reach that. You can't plot the stars if you're trying to feed yourself. You can't plot the heavens and the zodiac if you're at war with the next, enemy. You have to have a state of peace. You can't learn how to meditate if your life is being threatened at every stage of the, you understand? On the plantation, it was hard for us to do some of this because we had master's foot always in our butt, okay? Once that happened, once we can get from under that, then we were able to create and do stuff. And now what? Almost every other invention in America was done by one of us. But we're not for us. In ancient Kemet, they were doing it for them because they had a centralized government. And yes, the government had ebbs and flows when it was more for the people, and another time it was maybe more materialistic, another time it was maybe more spiritual, and it flowed. So there's Dr. John Henry Clark, basically taught us that there was 4 golden ages in ancient Kemet. And each one has their plus. And then there's those periods of decline. And so when we analyzing our story, we want to know, well, can we duplicate the golden ages without the flux? What caused the flux? And if we go every place, we'll see something kind of consistent. And so the idea is to take the best of the best and leave the other stuff alone.
Right. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay. Earlier you was talking about the importance of air.
Air, yes.
A lot of people don't understand breathing techniques.
Well, the breathing techniques is fundamental, y'all. That's why the first thing you do is the meditation. That's why I said, pre-K should really just be about breathing and mastering your little energy. So that by the time a kid is 5, they're just unbelievable in terms of what they can do. And then once you start to think there's nothing you can't do, then there's no limit on your possibilities. Now, if I can harness that towards the good of the society, and you're trying to contribute to the good of the society, not doing my own thing, but how can my thing, which isn't my thing, which is our thing, help cultivate everything? So if a child is doing, see, watch this here. 1st grade. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a fireman. I want to be a policeman. I want to be a doctor. Smack! No, you don't. Somebody told you want to be that. You don't even know what that is. Let's get inside of their mind and show them the universe, and then they can tell us what they want to do. I want to travel to the stars.
Get your chart done.
I want to create a son. Get out the box. You're putting those kids in the box and then wonder why they messed up. You learn how to breathe. Watch this. When the air goes through your nose, your brain is sitting right on that cavity. Your brain gets oxygen. Your brain uses more blood and more oxygen than any other part of the body. But if you're breathing through the mouth and short brain, the air's going all through the body and then it goes to the brain, it's all used up. And you can't think straight or make good decisions and your ship goes down like the Titanic.
Yes.
The breath is so important. In fact, you couldn't even be a great martial artist unless you mastered the breath. Because that's going to help you control your energy, your senses. So it's not just for fighting, it's for everything you do. Remember I said, you do the meditation, you do the breathing, the yoga, the warrior art, and then you do your skill. So that you got more energy to do your skill. So that's how important that breathing is, and it's to breathe. And just the yoga is not all of it, that's just part of it, you know, but there's different breathing postures, like even something simple like, and you're pushing in the 4 directions.